Good morning to all those concerned. The threat that has been identified and will be analysed today is the introduction of electric flight alternatives into the Australian aviation market. Startups and green companies specialising in carbon neutral alternatives entering the market offering zero emission domestic regional flights at a lower cost and passing these savings on to consumers as early as 2026. The consequence has been classified as major as the lower cost product offering as a result of the substitution of current fossil fueled flights with zero emission alternatives would be detrimental to the Australian aviation industry, affecting operational standards and bottom lines for all major airline companies. Heart Aerospace is a company that specialises in research and development of this technology. They've predicted that they will have a commercial standard passenger airplane market ready by 2026, also stating that when compared to turboprops, simple, reliable electric motors save maintenance expenses by 90%, and clever electronic monitoring reduces inspection requirements. Above all, fuel costs are reduced by 50 to 75%. These cost reductions will naturally be passed on to consumers, offering a product that will be more financially and environmentally attractive. The probability of green startups disrupting Australia's aviation market is likely due to the current world trend of net zero. The Australian government itself stated, the Morrison government will act in a practical, responsible way to deliver net zero emissions by 2050, demonstrating the inevitable entry of electric planes to replace their counterpart fossil fuel planes used in regional capacity, as these types of flights make up 40% of worldwide emissions. With plans to introduce these products into the market as early as 2026 in areas like Western Australia, this will adversely affect Australian Airlines' post-pandemic strategic goals of returning to business as usual. This can be confirmed with a statement from head of Qantas, Alan Boyce, stating he anticipates air travel would exceed pre-COVID levels by mid-2022. With domestic demand predicted at this rate, a likely cheaper alternative is a major threat to the industry. With that being said, utilising the ISO framework, this threat has been identified as high risk. I believe that quarterly senior management reviews will be required. There needs to be a specialised team allocated to managing this threat, ensuring that Australian Airlines anticipate the change in demand for electric air travel, therefore mitigating the negative financial and operational disruption that will be sustained if ignored. So what measures are necessary to achieve comprehensive risk management? The first option will be to observe and exemplify to Australia's aviation industry regulator, CASA, DFAT's second key air navigation policy principle. This being aviation safety is the highest priority. By ensuring stringent certification standards are adhered to, there is more time for Australian Airlines to develop their own plan and ensure that there are procedures in place to deal with the emerging demand for electric air travel and the effects this will have on their strategic goals. The second action I propose would be to actively search for emerging companies and technology in the renewable energy airspace to gain a competitive advantage when the demand for electric air travel arrives. Again, Heart Aerospace in Sweden and Eviation in Israel, a startup specialising in this area, albeit foreign entities. It would be smart to form relationships to ensure Australian Airlines are not left behind and taken over by newer affordable product offerings. I believe that this should be taken in charge by the Chief Operation Officer. They would supervise and ensure the overall success of direct reports such as renewable energy project developers and procurement officers. Escalation triggers. Number one would be a breakthrough in electric aviation technology before the proposed date of 2026. This would then require additional oversight and intensified action and attention, including the procurement of relevant technology to avoid losing competitive advantage in the market. Overall, this threat has been identified as high risk. This was decided based on the likely chance of electric planes being introduced to the Australian domestic regional flight market, and the consequence being major, with this new technology approximately halving the cost of the same flight fueled by carbon-based propellant. In order to be prepared for the competition that will arise out of this development of technology, it will be smart to ensure safety protocols are adhered to thoroughly. This will maintain control over the entry of new products and make it easier to predict when the change in demand for electric flights will occur. Secondly, it is critical that Australian airlines begin to develop relationships with startups that specialise in carbon neutral flight alternatives. This will ensure that when these products are offered and certified to the Australian market and offered to consumers, that there is already partnerships and relationships in place to take advantage of the lower cost green alternatives. Thank you for listening.